What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to Philly with John Marks. PHLY is always brought to you by BetParx. What's up live on a Thursday morning? It is Spirit Week here at ALLCITY. Shout out to everybody that donated yesterday to Big Brother and Big Sister. We had our stream-a-thon. It was awesome. We'll review it and break that down later on in the show. But just a reminder, Tyler up in the upper left-hand corner puts some type of a graphic. At least that's what Jamie was saying yesterday. I don't know if you can do it here, but it's an easy way to donate. You can also go to bbbs.org/allcity. We're trying to get to 10 grand. I believe we're almost there. We're getting up to it. So let's do it right now. $2, $5, $10, whatever you can give us, give it to us. Big Brothers, Big Sisters of America, all of our networks at ALLCITY, including PHLY, have teamed with them for a partnership, and you couldn't do it with a better organization. For what they provide for our community is legit. And if you've never experienced it, like I've never experienced Big Brothers, Big Sisters, but people that need a mentor, that need a big brother, that need a big sister, that maybe don't have a family figure that they get that from, I can't speak enough of what they do and the success stories that you've heard from. So please donate. Please support them and support us. Again, it's bbbs.org/allcity is the website. You can even sign up to be a big brother, big sister right there. All right, we have a lot to talk about. Phillies win last night. But the big story, which I think it was like right before midnight, slightly before, I didn't see it, and I was up pretty late last night. I didn't see it until I woke up this morning. But Ace Bailey, who at this point, it felt like the Sixers are not going to draft, and that's more of a feel, and I think a lot of people are feeling the same way, but it's not because he's not a talented player or anything like that. I think there's some red flags here. So he canceled his private pre-draft workout with the Sixers last night. I believe ESPN reported it first, and then I saw Keith Pompey of the Inquirer then a little bit later also confirmed it. He was supposed to arrive tomorrow, or maybe even tonight, I guess for tonight, but he was supposed to arrive. He was going to have dinner with the Sixers, just like VJ Edgecombe did. And you remember Tyrese Maxey flew in for that. And then he was going to have a private workout at their facility on Friday. So it would make sense he flies in today, goes to dinner tonight, has the workout tomorrow. He canceled it. Now, what I didn't know was that he has not worked out for any NBA team. He remains the only U.S.-based prospect yet to visit any NBA team. But the Sixers have not ruled out selecting him regardless of all of that. So he's not singling out the Sixers. Like if you remember when Porzingis got drafted, he wouldn't work out for the Sixers. And maybe that scared them off. And yeah, Porzingis has been, I would say, an underachieving player based on the skill that he has. But anyway, what do you do at this point? Because if you were on the edge of saying like, yeah, I don't know, like we really, really want to draft him, but we're unsure of it. They are trying, and the Ace Bailey camp, I'll say, and I don't know who's advising him. I don't know whose strategy this is. It's pretty clear to me what's happening. They have a team or teams that they're interested in Ace Bailey going to. A lot of people are speculating it's the Wizards or it's New Orleans, which pick right after the 76ers. Not directly after, but you know what I mean. In the range. And Ace Bailey is not working out and is blowing off the 76ers because he doesn't want to go to Philadelphia. Now, why wouldn't he want to go to Philadelphia? If you're going to tell me that his agent or his advisors or whatever is saying, hey, Sixers aren't a very good organization. They haven't been to an Eastern Conference final since 2001. Like the team right now, they're in a win now mode. How much does he play in the first year? Joel Embiid, it's not the best place to go. But Washington and New Orleans, yeah, they're not known as the greatest organizations in the NBA. I know Joe Dumars is down there in New Orleans running the team, but still, is that a good organization? Is that a winning organization? Washington, is that a good organization? Is that a winning organization? I'll take the Sixers over those teams any day of the week. But it's not about that. It's about this path to stardom that you keep hearing about and reporting. They're looking at Ace Bailey and they're saying, what is the fastest way for this kid to turn into a star in the NBA? And if you look at the Sixers, they have Embiid, they have Paul George. Ace Bailey's not going to get on the court in the first year, and he's not going to be able to play enough, and he's blocked to become a star. But it's so ridiculous, and I can't believe that somebody would be advising this kid if this is indeed the case. The thing to do is to go to the better team and the better organization. Because let's face it, this kid's not even 19 years old yet. He's not ready to be a star in the NBA. You would hope by year 2, you're like, okay, this kid's really got something. And by year 3, he's starting to become the star. And then year 4, he's a star. And then he signs the extension. He's the 5-year rookie deal. He signs the extension. Boom, he makes a ton of money. That would be the proper path to ensure that this kid, when he comes into the league, he isn't totally effed up. Right now, what they're doing and their strategy, if they're trying to get him to a team where he can be a star faster, man, he's not ready to be a star. I don't know if he's ever going to be ready to be a star. You put him in New Orleans or Washington, he has less of a chance of doing that, unless he's just that good of a player and he's going to be a star. Because guess what? In 3 years, Paul George isn't going to be here. And I would say that it's likely Joel Embiid is gone as well. If they don't make a push for the Eastern Conference Final this year, I don't know if Joel Embiid's with the team. And I say this year, the finals isn't even over. But in the 26th season, is Embiid here in 27? Isn't here in 28? It is such a narrow-minded way to look at this, where they're looking at a team that says, he can play right away. He's not blocked by Paul George. Man, screw Paul George. You're talking about a soon-to-be 19-year-old super athletic. All NBA players rave about this kid's skills. Scouts rave about this kid's skills. And you're worried about a broken-down, busted Paul George? Man, it's a good thing to not have to come in and play 35 minutes a night. So this is telling me everything I know about him. And I'm not going to say it's bad on the kid. He's 18 years old. But, man, this feels like a really, really bad idea. And you know what? They're probably making the Sixers' decision easy. Despite, and I'm going to read you what Keith Pompey had written in the last 36 hours because it's pretty good. A Western Conference scout said of Ace Bailey, you have to take him, but you have to really know what you were getting. He has the highest upside, but why hasn't he been more productive in the nuts and bolts, things that count? And there's little things he doesn't do. Regarding his maturity or his immaturity, a source said that Ace Bailey's immaturity isn't associated with being a bad person or unruly. They referred to his maturity as age appropriate. And I'm quoting a scout. Quote, he's not immature like a butthead. He's goofy, dancing in line. You're doing drills. He's dancing. Oh, that's my song. He's playful, which is age appropriate. So again, he's acting like an 18 or a 19-year-old. Meanwhile, VJ Edgecombe, who I think the Sixers are going to draft with the 3rd pick next week, isn't dancing in line and talking about this song. He isn't saying anything because he's focused on what's going on the court. Doesn't mean that Ace Bailey can't be a great player. It just shows you the difference in the player that you're dealing with. And I don't think the 76ers can take a chance on a guy that has red flags and has this overabundance of raw talent and skill. If there's another guy that's there that has a potential and a chance to be a star. We're not talking about, he's not all that talented, but he's a safer pick. How about he is talented and he's super talented and he's a safer pick for the Sixers? They can't miss on this one. It just, man, it is really crazy. It is, and Aquil says it right there. This is bad guidance, man. If anything, you want to get him with the best organization possible. It's not about how much playing time he's getting in year 1 or even year 2. If he's that type of a player, he'll get plenty of playing time. If he comes to Philly, gets drafted by the Sixers, and the kid's amazing from the start, they're going to find a way to get him on the court. If that means less Paul George, if that means more Paul George with Ace Bailey, wouldn't you want him on the floor with the better team? Especially to start off. This kid's not ready to contribute in a major way, in a positive way in the NBA. Man, it's crazy. Mike has a good one right there, too. Yeah, like Shedeur and Cam Ward. Cam Ward just has a different mentality than Shedeur. Doesn't mean that both of them can't be great players, and it doesn't mean that teams won't regret drafting Shedeur Sanders. But his behavior in the pre-draft process hurt him. And right now, it seems like that what they're doing is intentional to get teams to pass on him, like the 76ers. And it's probably going to work, but it doesn't mean it's going to be a great pick. You want to go to New Orleans? You want to say like, oh, well, yeah, he can play 35 minutes a night right off the bat. Okay. Terrible, terrible advice. And I don't know who's running things with Ace Bailey, but to be the only prospect, American prospect that's not overseas, that hasn't worked out for any NBA teams, man, you should be working out for every NBA team. VJ Edgecombe, he comes in here. What did everybody says afterwards? Oh, man, Tyrese Maxey came in. Everybody was really impressed. At the Combine, with Ace Bailey. And this is something that's been reported. Not that he's a bad kid, but front offices were like, I don't know. You know, he's 18. Put microphones in front of him. He sounds like he's 18, right? Like that, and that's okay. But I just, to me, this feels like a potential bust pick, which you can't do. You need a safer pick. It doesn't mean that VJ Edgecombe is Evan Turner and he's a solid starter or a bench player, or whoever you're going to draft. I don't believe the 76ers are going to trade back. I don't think the 76ers should trade back. I think they should stay at 3 and take VJ Edgecombe and, damn it, be really, really excited because I love what this kid offers and his potential. As we welcome in Tyler Zulli, who was up late doing a Phillies recap last night. Phil's win. Ranger Suarez looks great, but this is the big news, the big story on Philly with John Marks. What is your thoughts on all of this there, Tyler?
Yeah, I said as recently as last night that I still would select Ace Bailey because I am not scared off or worried about a teenager acting like a teenager. He's not a bad kid. He's not doing bad things, right? Like that's not a problem to me that he is a 19-year-old who acts like a 19-year-old. I have no problem with that whatsoever. I also think the potential for Ace Bailey is through the roof. I do think there's a pretty large discrepancy between what the floor could be and what the ceiling could be, which I know that scares some teams off, and I know that scares some fans off as well. I think certain pockets of the fan base, certain pockets of the city are looking for somebody who could step in and play right away or close to it. Because of the fact that they are picking at number 3, which was unexpected. But my kind of turn on that has always been, you're picking at number 3, which is unexpected. You had an opportunity to maybe lose your first round pick, or at least your first round pick to Oklahoma City because of the trade protections. I know you have LA's pick at 27 or 28 or whatever it is, but you had an opportunity where you were in a small window where you might lose your pick. You also may pick 6 or 7, you bumped up to 3. You have a chance here to take a guy that would be very, very high ceiling opportunity with, again, the potential of a very low floor. I do understand that sentiment. The thing that I find kind of interesting is saying that you want to be a star right away and you want to get minutes right away and you want to go to an organization that will allow you to facilitate that. Well, first of all, I don't think the Sixers are a particularly great organization right now either. But if you're comparing the
Agreed.
Sixers to the Wizards have been pretty much a doormat.
The Wizards suck. That organization. I'll take the Sixers every day over them, Tyler.
And I will say this because not just because of the team that we're speaking about, but because of a player that went to that team specifically to fill it up and become an empty stat guy. For 2 straight years, I watched Kyle Kuzma take 19 shots a night to get to his 22 points. Yeah. And it was like, well, Kyle Kuzma scoring 22 points a night. It's like, because nobody else on the team is shooting the ball. So like, is it a somebody's got to score thing with the Wizards? Probably in there a little bit. listen, if he wants to go and be a number 1 or number 2 guy right away, I can't stop the kid from feeling that way. But I do think if the Sixers have an opportunity to select this guy, up until like last night, I've been saying I think you still can take the chance. But if you're looking for a higher floor, that's where you go with a guy like VJ Edgecombe.
So, I mean, if their intent is to scare teams off because they specifically want to go to be drafted 6 or 7 by Washington or New Orleans, it's probably working. But like, you would have to have not had question marks before this, because this stuff right here, to your point, Tyler. Oh, you don't want to go third? Tough. If the Sixers had the first overall pick and like Cooper Flag or whatever saying like, oh yeah, I'm not working out for you. So, all right, you know what? Tough. But I think there's enough red flags here at 3 where you say it's just not worth it. And if it comes back to bite you in the ass, you know what? I'll remember how I felt. I think everybody should remember how they felt. I honestly, at this point, I would be shocked if there's regrets 4 years from now, 5 years from now, when you look back on it and say, damn, what were we doing? They should have drafted Ace Bailey. And then Morey will get blamed or whatever. But like, to me, there's too much going on. By the way, this portion of the program brought to you by GLAT Hair Restoration, GLATHairMM.com, 610-980-4000. Old Dirty out there says he's getting a D'Angelo Russell vibe out there. No, and he's had like a pretty good career, but he's weird, man. It just is. What's the more likely scenario 4 years from now? That Ace Bailey is an Anthony Edwards type where it's like, wow, this dude's unbelievable, or Ace Bailey's playing for a bad team and is totally underachieving, and it looks like it was a really bad draft pick. And I don't want to sit here and live in the moment as a fan of the team and be like, oh, no, F him. He doesn't want to work out for the Sixers. F him. I'm trying to remove myself from that type of thinking. Honestly, Ace Bailey being an underachiever that the only reason we're looking at is because the Sixers could have drafted him, and he's not very good, and he's on a bad team, and he's on his 3rd coach in 4 years. I mean, I don't even think it's really close. And I could be totally off, but that's how I feel. And I don't think the Sixers can miss on this. And it's just such an obtuse view to look at the Sixers and say, oh man, like he's not going to be able to play. And like, no, you're blocking. He's a star and he's going to be a star right away. It puts you in the mindset and the mentality of either they're letting the kid make his decisions without good advice, or family or people like that. It's the same way. So it really worried me to draft him. It would, especially when you have a kid like VJ Edgecombe. Like at this point, what you need, because who you're drafting this year is going to be a post Embiid when he becomes your son. I'm telling you, Tyler, do you believe that it's unlikely Joel Embiid is here in 3 years? I put this out there, and I'm curious to see what the response is. Like the guy you're drafting is not going to be playing with Embiid, so why would you even worry about Paul George and Embiid being here?
Be here in 3 years, you asked?
So the 26 season, the 27 season. I don't even think he's here in the 27 season, but like 28, they would have to make an Eastern Conference final or a finals appearance for Joel Embiid to be here in 28, or he's just so broken down and injured that no one wants him.
So in 28, he has a player option heading into the 28 season worth almost $70 million. I think as much as I have probably been on the Joel Embiid, like you take the Joel Embiid train as far as Joel Embiid can possibly take you, because I think anything short of that is a poor decision. I understand the injuries and things like that. I think Joel Embiid by the time the 2028-2029 season rolls around, will probably understand that he's not getting that type of contract again. And so I think there is a scenario that he opts in to that 69 point something million dollar player option, because it's a freaking ridiculous amount of money for one player on a 15-man roster. He would be silly unless he becomes all pro Joel Embiid again and health is, relatively speaking, health is good. Then he could say, hey, maybe I can get one more big time contract. But I think by the time the 2028-2029 season rolls around, he's going to realize I'm not getting that type of contract again. I'm going to opt into this player contract. I think that's how Joel Embiid is still with the Sixers, is he says, I'm opting in. $69.5 million is crazy money for a season.
All right, so I guess what I'm saying is that, so do you see success in Joel Embiid's in Joel Embiid in the next 2 seasons? I don't. And to me, this is pretty close to blowing up.
Individual success, personal, team success. What
he comes out next year and plays 40 games, and the Sixers are the 3rd seed. Is that likely next year?
Well, two different answers. 40 games. I think he plays 40 games next year.
Dude, you're being way too technical here. I'm saying, do the Sixers have a season similar to this year, or do they have a season similar to where they're a top 4 team and things are good? And even though they don't make the finals, you're still feeling good about Joel Embiid and the Sixers.
Yeah, I
don't see that for next year.
They're a top 6 team next season. I don't think they're a top 4 team, but I do think they're a top 6 team next year, assuming everybody stays healthy. Like, they're too talented not to be.
That's what I heard. I heard this year they're too talented to not beat the Knicks.
They missed like a bazillion games because of injury. I get it. You can't assume health all the time, especially with Joel Embiid. I understand that. But, like, I think they're too talented not to be a top 6 team should they stay healthy and they get a player who can help.
I'm not going to say the seed that they're in the playoffs because you're too focused on that. Are the 76ers in the Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals next year? After the season next year, are you feeling good about your team and you're adding to the roster to try to get them over the hump?
No, they're not in the Eastern Conference or Finals next year. No, they're not good enough to be in that conversation.
But are you feeling good about the team? So that when I'm speaking about Joel Embiid and his future here in Philadelphia, do you believe Joel Embiid is here because things are going well and people are happy, or do you believe Joel Embiid is here because he's too injured to be traded and there's nowhere for him to really go?
Yeah, it's probably more likely the latter. I think they're going to be a better team than they were last year. It's going to be almost impossible not to be with the roster that they have. If they're as bad as they are again, if they're as bad last year as they are this year as they were last year, then they're blowing the whole thing up mid-season and it's the end of everything. And you're taking pennies on the dollar for whatever you can possibly get. I think they're closer to they're a playoff team again next year. Again, I don't think they're a conference finals or NBA finals team. I think they're a maybe win a round type of team.
Yeah, and a round may buy. Cause really, for me, I think it's Daryl Morey. For as long as Daryl Morey's here, Joel Embiid's going to be here. So if Embiid plays at the level we know he can play when he's healthy enough, he's probably back. If they win a round in the playoffs, they make it to the second round, they lose to a better team, then a lot of people are going to say, well, they need to add. Maxi's going to be better. McClain's going to be better.
Whomever you draft at 3.
Right. Like, does Edgecombe look like he's going to be? Yeah. So, like that, to me, that's the path to where Morey gets another year and Embiid is back. But then what happens if that doesn't what happens the next year? See, that's the thing. 3 years from now is a long time. Can Joel Embiid do that for 2 straight years?
It's a totally fair question. So let me ask you this. We've talked a lot about Edgecombe, obviously, as I don't want to say the alternative because I think he's a worthy selection. But if you're looking for somebody that's not Ace Bailey and you are staying at 3, do you have any consideration to Trey Johnson? Just like a guy who can absolutely fill it up.
Yeah.
6'5", got a little bit of length. Defense will be tested, I think. But do you have any consideration for a guy who just seems to be a walking bucket?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't, obviously I'm not a scout. They haven't worked out for me, but the Sixers absolutely should look at any of these players right here. And that's the other thing is, do they trade back? Do they like a player? Do they like a player as much as they like Edgecombe? And they're saying, and we can get him at 5. We can trade back. There's that story out there that they can get rid of Paul George's contract by trading back with Utah. Mm-hmm. Utah would take the trade. I mean, there's consideration to that. If you like both players kind of the same, and then you rid yourself of Paul George's contract. But what does that say about Paul George's contract? Then Daryl Morey is saying, like, wow, I just had an epic failure. I had to trade the 3rd pick to get rid of this contract after 1 year.
Right.
Oh, my God. But it's also, if you think it's the right move to make, it's the right move to make.
And not only moving off the contract after 1 year, but finally having some cap flexibility, getting off of Tobias Harris's contract and immediately then signing a contract that you feel like you have to get away from. It's a bad situation that the Sixers find themselves in.
All right. Coming up, more Sixers. but also the Phils win last night. Castellanos is back. Of course, he makes a nice catch to end the game. Defensive stopper, Nick Castellanos. Oh, everybody was so mad at Topper yesterday. Ranger Suarez, just want to say this to all the Ranger drones out there, or all the Aaron Nola zombies out there that threaten me in DMs or anything like that. You're going to get to have Aaron Nola for the next 5 years. You're not going to get to have Ranger Suarez, but you're going to get to have Aaron Nola for the next 5 years. Congratulations. I hope you're happy, because Ranger's going to go via free agency, and you'll get to watch Aaron Nola throw 5 or 6 innings every single start, and I hope you're happy with that. That's coming up next. Philly with John Marks. Don't go anywhere. Back in 2 at 2. Man, maybe I got to take that allergy medicine. I was feeling good. Now, like I'm all stuffed up today. All right, so check it out. Empire Today. If you need new flooring, and I'm in my home studio today. I'm down in the basement, and I have great laminate flooring. It is awesome. So it's half carpeting, half laminate. It's laminate where I am. Upstairs, the more expensive hardwood, right? But, like, what do you want? And maybe you're not even really sure, right? That's why you go to the experts, dedicated flooring experts. That's Empire Today. And this is the best thing, because you have to go to a showroom and you're not sure. And you're like, oh, I don't know what this would look like next to our couch. I don't know what this looks like next to the color of our walls is gray, but how would it look? All those things make a difference. Empire Today brings the showroom to your home, so you see what everything looks like in your space. They take precise measurements. You're going to know what it looks like in your home, and that's why they come out to your house. Isn't that a good idea, rather than wasting time and going to a showroom? And right now, Empire Today offers a $350 discount. Just use the code PHLY. It'll save you $350. But contact them today. Free in-home estimate. The expert comes out, and they're with you from Jump Street, from the first time you talk to them. They're with you through the entire process, right? From picking out what you want, installation as soon as the next day. Any questions that you have are answered, and you're getting all-inclusive pricing. You're getting the best price, you're getting the best experience, you're getting the best flooring, and you're doing it with a company that only does this. EmpireToday.com/PHLY. EmpireToday.com/PHLY. Check them out. Remember, $350 off. All right, so let's talk about Rothman. And I'm going to the pool later on today, as it's going to be a nice, hot, sunny day, and feeling good because I've been doing my workouts, right? I've been able to go to the gym. I've been able to be active, doing a lot of different things. That wasn't always the case. A couple years ago, I had thrown out my shoulder, and I wasn't exactly sure what it was. I had a problem in the same shoulder years before that. And I felt like, it's like, oh, this is probably a rotator cuff. So it'll get better. It'll get better. It'll get better. Oh, it didn't get better. And we're talking about like a year of hoping it would get better, and it's now getting worse. Went to Rothman, finally made the decision. It was one of these stupid New Year's resolutions where I said, you know what? New Year's resolution, I'm going to figure out my shoulder. Went to Rothman, made an appointment, one appointment with my Rothman team, diagnosed me with a frozen shoulder. I was worried about MRIs. I was worried about cortisone shots. I didn't get a cortisone shot. I got a script for physical therapy after 6 weeks of physical therapy, and I got it right there at Rothman in Limerick. Shoulder's been excellent ever since. So if you're active this time of year, if you like to play golf, if you like to get outside and you're not doing it as much because of pain, because of a nagging injury, you don't have to live with it. Don't live on ibuprofen or Motrin for the rest of your life. Rothman.com/PHLY. Make an appointment. And again, you're dealing with the experts in the industry. Every Rothman doc and team is laser focused on their specialty. Over 30 convenient offices across Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Florida. And, ankle, elbow, wrist, whatever it is, they have a team and a doc that is laser focused on your problem. Check them out. Rothman. RothmanOrtho.com/PHLY. Hooah. All right, there we go. Philly with John Marks as the 76ers. Isn't it awesome to have a draft pick that matters? And we all love the draft, but if the Sixers are drafted 12th, well, who knows, right? Not that you can't get a good player right there. And Daryl Morey has actually shown the propensity to be able to know what he's doing with drafting. But still, now it's like they have real decisions. If the draft starts at 3, the draft starts with the 76ers. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. All right, Phil's win last night, and they do it on the back of Ranger Suarez. How about this one? So Ranger once again, and man, he has been so good at moving the ball up, moving the ball down. He's hitting the outside of the strike zone on both sides. He very rarely leaves something over the middle of the plate. And he was excellent again last night. 7 innings, gave up the 1 solo home run in the 5th, 8 strikeouts, 2 walks. And then you're not as worried with the bullpen, which really sucks. And we'll talk about that in a second. But Kirkering came in for the 8th, and then Matt Strahm in the 9th gave up a run and had 2 more runners on. So you had to sweat that one out a little bit. But the Phillies win. And Ranger Suarez, you imagine the losers that were saying he should go to the bullpen when he returns from the injury. I mean, I certainly wouldn't have said that he should go to the bullpen. His last 8 starts, right? So remember that first start that he made, he got shelled. Since then, he's 6-1 with a 1.17 ERA, 46 strikeouts, and only 12 walks. Man, he's been unbelievable. So this is 2 straight seasons that he's come out from the gate from the start of his season, and he's been lights out, Cy Young type numbers, and then he tailed off and cooled off a little bit. But still, it's not like he was horrible after that. Yeah, so it's great. So now you look at it, and I think one of the big reasons why a lot of us, including me, that were saying like, hey, Ranger, they could really use him in the bullpen, is because you have an abundance of starting pitching. You have a glut, and that's not a negative word, of starting pitching in your rotation. We know that. And Aaron Nola at the time wasn't pitching well, but he was pitching. And this bullpen, now Alvarado's gone, and they really need minimum 2 arms, 2 legit arms in there. So you're not going to move Ranger out of the rotation, obviously, right now. And when you look at this rotation heading into the postseason, Wheeler, I mean, Tyler, I'll bring you in for this, where's Ranger Suarez? If you start a playoff series right now, and obviously it's right now, we're in June, Wheeler's your number 1. Is Ranger Suarez your number 2 starter?
Yes. Yeah, I don't think I have to think too hard about it. And I know we're talking about 4 months from now, and Rangers had some stretches of like fatigue and injuries pile up. But yeah, if the playoffs were to start today, Ranger Suarez gets the second start. And that's not disrespect to Christopher Sanchez. He's been really good as well. But the guy that I trust with the ball in his hand right now after Zach Wheeler is Ranger Suarez. No question about it.
Yep. No, you're right. You know, I asked the question and you knew what I thought the answer was. It's Ranger Suarez.
Yep.
Right now, if he's pitching like this or even close to this going in, here's a potential problem. That means you're going to have 3 left-handed starters if you're going like in where you have to use 4 starters, or at the very least you have 2. Which, depending on the matchup in the team, could potentially be a problem. But, I mean, I guess it's a good problem to have if they're good pitchers. But, yeah, he's been really good.
And I will say this, the thing about having a plethora of left-handed starters, the one guy in particular that doesn't bother me with is actually Christopher Sanchez, because teams for 2 straight years now have run out right-handed heavy lineups against Christopher Sanchez, and it makes sense, go opposite hand, right? But with Sanchez specifically, what's Sanchez's best pitch?
Change up strikes out right-handed hitters.
Which is how he strikes out right-handed hitters anyway. Yep. So I don't think it phases him. So in that instance, you have Zach Wheeler, who's right-handed. You have Christopher Sanchez, who sees right-handed heavy lineups all the time anyway. And then Ranger Suarez, who's Mr. Cool, Calm, and Collected, and it doesn't seem like anything phases him to begin with. So that's my 3, especially in a wild card round or a DS. That's my 3 right there. And then you talk about Luzardo being probably the 4, because I have no idea what Aaron Nola's if he's going to throw again. I have no clue. But that's your 4 right there in a postseason series. I'll take my chances with that starting 4 right there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. So and then you're going to get a chance. So congratulations, all you Aaron Nola fans out there well, you don't know anything about baseball, Marks. Like, oh my God. Actually, people that I actually respect that I think know baseball, that when I called Aaron Nola Joe Blanton, that were just like, it's a comparison. It's not saying he's Joe Blanton, but you know what? So now you're going to get to watch Aaron Nola for the next 5 years at $25 million a year unless they can move off the contract. And I think he gets back to being certainly a more productive pitcher than we saw this year. I'm not trying to kill the guy. But Ranger Suarez is going to leave. And if you're going to tell me, what do you mean? You can still sign Ranger Suarez. Why can't you sign Ranger Suarez? How can you sign Ranger Suarez? Luzardo has 1 more year left on his contract. Zach Wheeler is under contract for the next couple of years. Chris Sanchez is under contract for the next couple of years. And then you have Andrew Painter and Mick Abel that are young pitchers that you need them to pitch. And you're not, unless they suck, and you're not going to have them continue to develop. So as much as you'd like to bring Ranger Suarez back, oh, and by the way, they're up against how much money they can spend because they pay everybody on the freaking team, and they need to bring Kyle Schwarber back, and they need bullpen pieces because this bullpen sucks. So you can tell me out there that they can still bring Ranger Suarez back. I don't understand how you can bring Ranger Suarez back unless you're trading Noah. And if they can trade Noah's contract, great, good luck.
Yeah, sure. If you can move Nola's contract, it's a different conversation. I've said for a while now, I don't think Ranger. I just think this is the final season for Ranger Suarez in a Phillies uniform. I would love to be wrong. I hope they figure out a way to make it happen. But you have 3 free agents next year, and one of them's not returning. And so I posed this question yesterday. If you have 3 free agents and one is not going to return, not who do you think shouldn't be the one, but who do you think is the most likely to be the one that doesn't return? Kyle Schwarber, JT Realmuto, Ranger Suarez. And Ranger. I think Ranger is the answer that is the most likely to not return. JT is going to make less money than he's making this year, which should save you a few $1 million, somewhere in the $5 to $10 million less than what he's making now. But you don't have, I don't think they're ready to turn it over full-time to Rafael Marchand. And Eduardo Taid is still probably 3 years away from being a major league player, assuming his progression continues on the right track. So they're likely going to have to bring JT back. You cannot let Kyle Schwarber walk away. You can't do it. So I think in the terms of, you brought up in the beginning of the segment, they have a plethora of starting pitching. I think that is the likeliest scenario, that Ranger Suarez is not back next season.
Right. Yeah. If you absolutely, if your starting rotation was really light, and like you had said, can you see the team without Kyle Schwarber? I can't, unless he goes cold for the rest of the season. They need him. He's their offensive punch. Ranger Suarez would be a loss for sure because he's really good. But with this starting rotation, if the most likely scenario is he's not going to be here. Period. And that sucks. And I saw INS out there in a comment trying to talk about Aaron Nola. Again, here's the problem with Aaron Nola. He can still be a middle to back of the rotation starter that is average to above league average. Most likely, can we agree, Tyler, he's a 4 starter? Oh, certainly on this team, he's not a top 3 starter. All right, so you're paying $25 million a year for your 4 starter. It's hard to construct your team with those kind of dollars, because here's the other thing. We talked about, well, Schwarber's going to make more money. JT's going to make less money. Who's pitching out of the bullpen next year?
It's a good question.
This bullpen sucks. And we can go into this right now. Man, unless these starters are going to go 7 or 8 innings every single game, what happens when you get to the playoffs, right? So who's your top reliever right now? Kerkering?
Probably Kerkering. Yeah.
Right, and Kerkering's good. Who's your second best reliever?
Strom.
Who doesn't look good right now? Who's your third best reliever?
In the postseason, it's going to end up, well, at least on the roster, it's going to end up being Romano. But that to me is probably in between Kerkering and Strom. They'll get somebody, I would guess, and then you probably somebody in between Strom and Romano. And the thing is too, I've talked about this before. You've seen what relievers have gone for at the trade deadline, and I'm not talking about like Tanner Scott went for a bunch. Unsurprising, he's legit. But like guys that were next tier down went for 2 or 3 prospects, and it wasn't just like the Phillies got Moises Chase, who they expect to be a legit arm, and Seth Johnson in a trade for Gregory Soto. Like, arms are going for a bunch at the trade deadline because everybody still thinks they're a postseason team. So to move off of a trade, especially guys that aren't rentals, that aren't Estevez type pitchers, like these guys are going for a ton. So like the Phillies are going to end up trading maybe not top prospects, but tier 2 prospects to acquire players at the trade deadline. I don't think they have a choice.
Here's the Phillies bullpen. And like you mentioned, Tyler, they got to add 2 arms. I don't even think you can add 1 arm. You need legit veteran guys. Kerkering, even though I still kind of complain about him, that I worry about him in high leverage situations, he's clearly their best reliever. Mm-hmm. I still like Matt Strahm, and I'm not going to start killing him because he's been really good for a couple of years straight. Like not so good this year. Tanner Banks, right? Jordan Romano, Carlos Hernandez, they designated. Joe Ross, and I'm a queen bee of the Ross Hive. That's not going very well right now. Who else do we have? Who else? Taijuan Walker? Is he going to be your 8th inning guy? I mean, you think about the Phillies when they won a World Series. Lidge, Madsen, Romero, Scott Air. Who am I missing in that bullpen? You had, they made Charlie Manuel's life easy. The bridge to Lidge, man. And what's his name? Who's the lefty? I just blanked on his name. The lefty reliever from the 08 team. They got busted for steroids.
Well, they had, Romero and Air were the 2.
Yeah, JC Romero. I was thinking about Romano. Yeah, like those guys were lights out studs. They had multiple left-handed relievers, and like the bridge to Lidge. You give us six innings, and then we're gonna get you to the end of the game. And they were so good. This bullpen is horrible.
Yeah, it's not a good bullpen. There's no question about it.
Can they fix it? Man, I don't know. I think
they can make it better. I don't think.
Yes.
I don't know if fixing it in one trade deadline is going to cost you a ridiculous amount of prospects. So they can make it better for sure. And then you're going to go into the postseason thinking,
holding your breath.
Yeah, when it comes to that bullpen. I mean, listen, because we've said it plenty of times, this starting rotation is going to not only win you 90 plus games, it's going to keep you in postseason games. If when the lead tightens a little bit and you say, hey, instead of giving us 7 because it's the postseason, if you get us 16 or 17 outs, can our bullpen get the final 12?
Man, it's so hard.
It's not a question I feel super comfortable answering right now.
No, because you know the answer to it. No, you're right. Zach Wheeler, who has been the best Philly starting pitcher in forever, right? One of the best free agent signings and one of the best starters they've ever had in their organization. It's tough for him to give you 6 innings in a playoff start. It's so difficult. So that means Ranger. Remember the game Ranger had where he was getting a lot of strikeouts, but he couldn't even get through 5 innings? The playoff game, was that last year?
Last year was the one where he had come back from injury, and like we were like, hey, dude, anything you can give us is a step in the right direction. And he was really good. He rolled up a couple double plays. Like, he clearly didn't have his best stuff, and I think he gave him like 14 outs or something like that. And then Estevez comes in and gives up the grand slam.
Right. Yes. Yeah, and like you watched that game, and he gave you every freaking drop that he could give you, and he couldn't make it through 5 innings. And that's not to rip him; it just shows you how different playoff baseball is.
Yeah.
So you had said 12 outs. Well, what if you have to get 5th inning, 6th inning, 7th inning, 8th inning, 9th inning, and you get 15 outs, right?
You're turning to Taijuan Walker.
You're going to Taijuan Walker. Seriously, that's a problem. Even if you add a closer, you have to get 9 outs from these other guys. Kerkering has not shown in big spots and high leverage situations reasons to have confidence in him.
So in that particular scenario, then at least internally, my ask is, can they ask Mick Abel to be that guy?
In the bullpen, or you're saying put?
No, yeah, in the bullpen, like, because you have to. You're only going 4 starters, right? So either he or Nola is not going to get a start, at least in a DS or wild card type series. Can you ask Mick Abel to be that guy? I think it's a tough ask, but can you ask him to do it?
Maybe this isn't for today. I was talking about it. I streamed last night. They got to put Andrew Painter in the bullpen.
They got to do something. I mean,
they got to put Andrew Painter in the bullpen. That's the lead. They got to put him in the bullpen. There's no spot for him as a starter. Going to keep him in AAA all year? All right. If you're going to be that stubborn and say, no, we want him to be a starter, he's a starter, we don't want to put him in the bullpen, I understand that. But the whole construction of this team is to win now. Yep. If you're telling me you can't put a young pitcher to pitch 3 to 6 outs at a time, and it's going to ruin his career or ruin his body, he was never going to stay healthy anyway. I'm not telling you to overuse him. I'm not telling you to be negligent in the way that you use him. You're telling me that by August and September, you can't transition him into be a reliever for the last 2 months of the season. By the way, he gets to pitch in the majors as opposed to being in AAA. So I think that's the only move you can make because I think he can handle it.
So they're going to have to go outside of the organization for somebody, but I think they're going to have to make an internal decision somewhere to help bolster the bullpen down the stretch, because I don't think they're going to mortgage the entire future, and they don't want to do that because I think this is the first time in a while they've had a really good prospect pool compared to what they've had at least. And I could see them moving on from a handful of different guys, like a Rincones, a Keaton Anthony, those type of players, and then some of the bigger tier prospects. But they've got 3 or 4 guys that I think they really want to hold really close to the chest. So if that's the case, internally, you're going to have somebody step up and be a guy in the bullpen, because I don't think they're going to mortgage the entire future for this bullpen's sake.
All right, we'll come back. BetParx Parlay of the day, more Philly stuff as well. We'll also recap the Streamathon yesterday, which I thought was awesome. I really, really enjoyed it. I caught some of the other portions of the 12 hours. Tyler and the producers also were on for a producer hour, which sounded like a lot of fun. We'll get that recap from Tyler as well. BetParx Parlay of the day, Philly with John Marks, PHLY. Why? All right, check it out. I believe we're, we have the BetParx Parlay of the day, but we also have BetParx. We'll talk about right now. So BetParx, we're wrapping up a series, and we're getting ready for the New York disgraces this weekend. All right. So check it out. In Miami tonight. All right. And then home series against New York. Chris Sanchez tonight. Think they can win 3 of 4? Is this a split? I like Sanchez a lot tonight. Pro Hoops Finals, is it wrapped up? Indiana's a 6.5 point underdog at home. How about that? TJ McConnell, I was looking at it last night on the BetParx app. TJ McConnell, what is he? He's plus 180, I think, for a combined 20 points, assists, and rebounds. He's one of the top ones. What does that tell you? They probably think he's going to see a lot of minutes. Tyrese Halliburton is still, I think, going to play tonight. But a lot going on when it comes to the sports world. And listen, maybe you're like, sure, I'm going to bet on all the games. How about this? How about, when we talk about the BetParx app, it's also the online casino. All right, play blackjack, roulette, craps, poker, baccarat, and hot online slots like Cash Eruption, 88 Fortunes, and Cleopatra. And new users get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. Go to betparx.com, download the app, and get all the action and excitement from the casino at your fingertips. You must be 21 and then PA, New Jersey, Maryland, or Michigan for BetParx. You love to play. You play to win. You bet BetParx Gambling Problem. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, Golden Nugget. Let's talk about them. For the past 30 years, Golden Nugget Jewelers has operated out of the very same location in the heart of Philadelphia. That's right. Their staff, highly trained and dedicated to providing a personalized shopping experience, and customers from all over the area, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, even Baltimore and New York City, are coming to Golden Nugget Jewelers to find that perfect engagement ring or wedding band. And they have an amazing selection, right? Like, that's one of the reasons why you want to go to Golden Nugget. Amazing selection, high-end watches, fashion jewelry, sparkling diamond necklaces, bracelets, earrings, and more. If you need a jeweler, you found one. Golden Nugget Jeweler. And you get a final cleaning. You get the engagement ring, you get the wedding band right before the wedding. Get a final cleaning for free and a written appraisal with every ring purchase. Golden Nugget Jewelers, been family owned and operated since 1987, right there on Chestnut and 8th in downtown Philly. You deserve an expert and the best price. Golden Nugget Jewelers, where Philly gets engaged. Visit goldennuggetjewelry.com to learn more. Hoo-ah. There we go. Philly with John Marks. We are back. I have to go out after I'm off the air today, and it's a shame it rained last night up by me because I need to mow the lawn. So it got too wet. So I wanted to go out after I got off the air today and go knock it out. But I'm going to have to wait till this afternoon. And I got a busy afternoon, Tyler. I got to go to the pool. The weather's nice. I got some other things I have to do. So, I mean,
Things that are way more fun than cutting the grass is what you're saying.
yeah. Well, no, I enjoy cutting grass, but I wanted to like my schedule in
That's
my
right. I
head.
do remember you saying that.
I am a very much I'm not planning weeks in ahead, but when I looked at today, I'm like, okay, get off the air, do some work stuff, mow the lawn. The kids have swim today, take them to swim, and then we go to the swim in the afternoon. But now I got to throw it off. So let me ask you this, because you live in an apartment, but were you the primary grass mower when you lived at a house that had a backyard?
Yeah, for a while I was. So for a while I said I probably say I started taking that over at my mom's house. I was probably like 13-ish when I started being the primary
Yeah.
grass mower, and did it until I went away to college, and then came back after college and did it again. My brother and I kind of split duties at that point. But yeah, I would say for probably 4 or 5 years before college, that was my role.
So you had a platoon situation.
Yeah, it was a platoon. So one of us would do the weed whacking, the other one would do cutting the grass.
So that's
I personally always preferred to cut the grass over the weed whacker, just because you end up getting your legs cut up. You got to wear pants. It's 100 degrees. So I always personally preferred to cut the grass as opposed to do the weed whacking.
So here's my question. Since you have experience in both whacking and mowing, what is your strategy? So you're doing this solo. We need people in the chat to give us these answers as well, or put it in the comments if you're watching this later. Are you a whack, mow, blow guy?
Yes.
Are you a mow, whack, blow, or a whack, mow, blow?
No, it is weed whack first. You cut the edge, then you can just go right over top of it with the lawnmower,
right?
And then you get it all off the sidewalk.
Right. And then you blow last. I'm 100% you blow everything last. I don't know who would blow in the middle of it. Right. But see, here's my strategy. And I have a battery powered weed whacker.
Okay.
That is probably a good 7 or 8 years old. And it's great. It's lasted forever and it's really good. But over time, the battery, so you don't get as much juice and life out of the battery unless you want to buy a new battery, which
sure.
I'm not going to do. So I probably get like a half-hour charge out of the battery, which sometimes, depending, isn't enough. So the reason why I will whack first before I mow and then blow is because I a lot of times have to go back in and charge it, so that I'll whack and then I'll be like, all right, well, I got to come back and finish up some stuff, and then I'll mow, and then you blow when it's all said and done. So it would actually be whack, mow, whack, blow.
Okay.
Would be what I normally do.
Yeah. See, so our lawnmower at my mom's was gas powered, so I never had to worry about that. But the weed whacker was the old school, like, electric plug-in. So I had to do the backyard with the outlets that were in the back of the house, like towards the porch. And then you have to bring the extension cord around and then plug it back into the garage outlets to do the front yard.
Oh, wow. All right. I have a battery powered little mower, because I have a zero turn. I have the big daddy. So it gets it done fast. Sure. But then I have a smaller battery powered one that I bought for this year off of Amazon. It was like $150. So it helps because if you have to weed whack a larger space, it sucks because it's not as even or whatever. And this really saves time. I'm all about efficiency when it comes to mowing the grass. I want to be in and out 90 minutes done. And I usually can be.
It's one of my least favorite activities, or I shouldn't even say activities. One of my least favorite chores.
Sure, yeah.
To do. I ended up always getting my allergies kick up because you're kicking up the pollen and stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's 7 million degrees. Nobody wants to do it. You got to do it like once a week in the summer. It was one of my least favorite chores to do. But I guess it's therapeutic for people that like doing it. You said you like to do it. So I don't know if it's therapeutic for you, but like for me, it was just something that had to be done. Hated doing it though.
You know how a lot of people, they take great pride in something they build, or like
yep.
I can't do any of that. So this is my way of taking pride and being like, damn, it look like my lawn looks really good. Like I get the weed whacker and I edge the side, the grass by the sidewalk and make it nice and straight or whatever. So my buddy who is very firmly in the dad role now, like, dad jokes, loves to care for his lawn. Like, he hit 25 and he became 50, like, really quickly. But he sends updates to our group chat, and he calls his backyard
I think they live on like I forget. I'm not going to say their name of their road but like he calls his backyard name of their road Country Club.
Oh yeah.
Like he loves taking care of his yard, and it's like a point of pride for him. And he'll send us the message, and I'm like, dude, you're spending a lot of time taking care of your yard when you could be doing literally anything else.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I had a lawn care. I fired the lawn care service because I was so unhappy with the way my lawn looked. And by the way, and you'll know this sooner than later, Tyler, you'll be looking out. Jamie Lynch and I both do the same thing. It'll be raining and we'll be like, yeah, we really needed the water. We really needed the
absolute dad comment.
It's so true too. It really is. You take great pride in getting rain.
Yep.
All right, let's do our BetParx Parlay of the day. Tyler, what your pick yesterday? You sent it to me, and Jamie had already taken over the segment. He was giving.
Yeah, he made 45 picks yesterday.
He did.
So I sent to you yesterday. I took no run first inning Red Sox Mariners at -150. It did hit. They ended up scoring 4 runs in the second inning, but it did hit in the first 4 no runs in that one. So I know Jamie had like 17 plays, so I assume we did not win.
No, it's not even close. Not even close.
But I'm gonna go to the Giants game today. The Giants are playing the Cleveland Guardians. Logan Webb is on the mound. Logan Webb is just like quietly one of the best pitchers in baseball, who I just don't think gets enough respect for whatever reason. But I'm going to take Logan Webb's strikeout total today. I'm getting him at over 5.5, and the 5.5 line right now is at -143. He has gone over that mark 4 of his last 5 games. He's done it 10 times in 15 starts this year. Cleveland strikes out about 8 times per game. They struck out 6 times last night to Justin Verlander. I'm going to take the 5.5 over Logan Webb in strikeouts today.
All right, Logan Webb strikeouts -143. I'm taking TJ McConnell. It's actually +100 now, so it's like even money. 20 points, rebounds, and assists tonight. I mean, if they just give him more minutes, he's going to get that. He just hasn't had enough minutes, and I think with Halliburton, who, if you look at Halliburton is still like, when you look at this particular bet, he is still, when you look at it, it looks like he's going to play tonight. But so I mean, I just don't think he can be effective and play 30-something minutes like we've seen him do.
Season on the line, I can't imagine he doesn't at least try to suit up.
Yeah, he's going to gimp around out there for a while, and
right.
they can't leave him out there like they did in the fourth quarter of Game 5. So I'm going to take that. That'll pay you $240 for a $100 bet. So $100 pays you a +240. What do you think of the game overall tonight, Tyler? The Thunder, it's 6-point road favorites right now as I look at it on the BetParx app.
Yeah, I think with the Halliburton injury and paired with the fact that I think they may have finally crushed the Pacers, who stayed in this thing longer than I expected them to. I give them a ton of credit for not making it to Game 6 and being around, and they certainly have a chance to win this game at home, no doubt. But I am going to take Oklahoma City tonight to close the series out and win the finals.
Yeah, I agree. I think they killed them in Game 5, and this is a blowout tonight.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I would take 6 point. Yeah, I would go OKC -6.
Okay.
I mean, and honestly, like, it almost feels like a moral victory for the Pacers because, like you said, they've been really good. OKC was heavily favored to win, and Halliburton's now injured. So the one chance you had to win this series was the heroics at the end of the game. I don't know if Halliburton can do that. When you have a strained calf, like, forget about it, man. That means what are you going 60% at best or something like that. And you're playing basketball. You're not playing baseball where,
sure.
All right, well, you're not going to run the bases 100%, but you can still hit or whatever.
Yeah, like Freddie Freeman did in the World Series last year.
Right.
Yeah, I think I hate the phrase like playing with house money, because if you get to a championship, at that point you want to win it. Like the Phillies were playing with house money in 2022 when they got to the World Series, but as soon as they got to the World Series, it was like, damn, man, I want them to win this thing. Did we all know the Astros were the better team? Yeah, I think we all did, right? Like we expected the Astros to be the favorite in that series, but they get there and all of a sudden your mentality shifts and you go, man, do they have a chance? I mean, they're here. Sure they do. Same thing for Indiana. Like at some point it got to, did we expect Indiana to be a finals team? No, but now that they're here,
yeah, you have
why
a chance.
not go and win the whole thing? But I just think Oklahoma City's too talented And at this point, I think the series is over.
If you're watching on TV, slide on over to allphly.com. It's time for overtime. Let's do it. And you know what hurts about that Phillies Houston series? They had the series lead at home.
Mm-hmm.
So you're right. I think we look at it and say the Astros were the better team because the Astros were a better team. There were chances. It's not like those games were blowouts and they ended up getting exposed. There were chances to win those games that they didn't. I remember broadcasting with Ike at the stadium. Was it the no-hitter game? Was that game 4 of the World Series? Or was that game 5?
Game 5.
That was game 5.
Yep.
Well, I remember being up 2-1 and being outside the stadium and because I had told Bryce Harper I would get his face tattooed on my back if they won the World Series that year, thinking there was no chance. And I just remember sitting there, and one of the industry sites had reached out to me and they're like, "Hey, are you really going to do this if they win the series?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I am." So I remember sitting there being like, "Oh my God. Like, am I Bryce Harper tattooed?
Am I really
on my
getting
back?
two players tattooed on my back in the span of 6 years?"
And my wife was so pissed because she knows that I would have done it. I had no other choice.
You followed through the first time.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, great. And that, but you know what lesson I learned? And I did learn a lesson from that, Tyler. I'm never doing that again. I was with Bryce Harper. He was sitting in front of me, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to interview him in person. I'm going to bring up the Nick Foles things because they're not going to win the World Series. That's what I told my wife after I said it. I'm like,
right,
Liz, they're not winning a World Series this year. Stop. All right? Like, what are we talking about? And then they're up 2-1 at Citizens Bank Park in the World Series. Anyway. Yeah, missed opportunity. I agree with you 100%. That wasn't house money. You had a chance to win a World Series.
Yeah, to me, if you were to rank the disappointments, that's not top. No. Because I didn't expect them to win that series. I just assumed Houston was better. The one that ranks the top for me is, and probably I'll never get over, is Arizona. You know, because not only were you the better team going in, you were up 2-0. You were up 3-2. You had games 6 and 7 at home. That's the one that, like, I will never mentally move on from. Last year was like, okay, the Phillies were playing crap baseball and the Mets were rolling. Like, you can you look back on it, you go, yeah, that makes sense. 3 years ago, it goes, okay, Houston was a better team. The Phillies' magical run came to an end. 2023, I will never be able to move past.
So stings, the Giants beating them in the NLCS and then going to win the World Series, and that was a good team. One of these 1 year got hot at the right moment, Cody Ross type teams. That one stung because that was a really good Phillies team. Obviously, the Cardinals losing in 5, that stings because like that team should have won more than one World Series. They went to 2 World Series, but that team with Roy Halladay and Cliff Lee and the offensive talent you had on that team, they should have easily won another World Series, and that stings. But that Diamondbacks, just to not even get to a World Series, like that, like I'm more pissed than anything else about that. Like, how the hell does that happen? That they don't win that series? That sucks. I'm so mad about it.
Especially up 3-2 with game 6 and 7 at home, and you lose both.
That's a killer. All right. Yesterday was a success.
I agree.
know you weren't on with me in the morning. Jamie was on with me for the hour. Andrew Frazier produced, and Ant and Bob Cooney. I was on with Anthony for a little bit in the 9 o'clock hour. But everything that I saw on social media, Devon was talking hockey. Bill Matz and Cuz were on the air at the same time. And then you led the producers hour last night.
So I got to give a lot of credit. Julia and said, "Hey, I'm going to try to host it." And I said, "Awesome, you do it." And she did an excellent job.
Oh, she led the hour.
Yep.
All right. Well, I didn't even really mean that you led it because I didn't even think about who was.
Well,
I guess I would have thought you would have.
Because I said to her, I said, "Hey, listen, I don't want to step on anybody's toes. I got 2 hours coming up, but I've driven shows before. If you want somebody to drive the show, I'll do it." And she goes, "Actually, I think I'm going to do it." And I said, "Awesome, that's great. Go ahead and go kill it." And she did. I thought it was a lot of fun. It was, it was a AMA roundtable type style. So the beginning of the show was funny because every producer had to open the show like their hosts. So like Julia did it like Bo does it, and Brennan did it like Bill did it. So I had to do it like you do it.
How does, before we get to that, how did I'm trying to think how Bo does it. What's his signature?
He's more He's like, hello, everybody. That's kind of how he does it.
So, hello, everybody.
Yeah, and then he goes into his spiel. Bills is the, how you doing? Well, that's great. I'm the director of fun and games. So he does that.
Yeah.
Andrew came on and like pounded the table like he was Anthony. It was a lot of fun. I had a good time.
And what did you do? Now I'm curious to see
so
what
yours is. I'm not going to be as boisterous as I was, but yours is what's up, everybody? Welcome into Philly with John Marks on PHLY, and you kind of drag that out a little bit.
PHLY,
yeah, and then I did the welcome to our 8 a.m.ers, our mad chatters.
There you go.
So it was, it's fun. Obviously, you can't replicate it entirely, but you spend five days a week with somebody, you kind of know their tendencies a little bit.
I agree. Yeah, K-Red was raving about the show, who slept in today and missed it.
It was a lot of fun.
Also, I do have to ask Barbara out there that always is, whenever she joins
Barbara.
the chat, she's always like, hey, Tyler.
Hi, Barbara.
I just got
Barbara has been a longtime listener of the PHLY Philly show. Really, really appreciate Barbara's support over the years.
First time, long time. Yeah, you see her in chat from time to time. She never says hi to me. I'm just saying. That's all. I'm just kidding. There you go. I just, every time I see her come on, I just wonder. I'm like, you're a happily married man. I hope she knows that.
So Barbara and I have gone back and forth about Aaron Nola a ton over the years, and I have been the Aaron Nola defender, and Barbara has been the Aaron Nola critical on Aaron Nola. And this year I had to go. I had to say, hey, you were right. I was wrong. I'm frustrated with Aaron Nola.
Yeah. Well, listen, the good news is you get to have Aaron Nola for another 5 years after this. So congratulations. There you go.
Yeah. But yes, yesterday was a success. Like we're up over $8,000 donated to Big Brothers Big Sisters throughout the company, which is really the goal of this whole thing. But if you are competitive like we are here at PHLY, we are, I believe, neck and neck with Chicago for most money donated. It's been back and forth all day. So really, really appreciate everybody who tuned in yesterday, everybody who donated, whether you were anonymous or you were, put your name to it. It was an awesome day.
Yep. BBBS for Big Brother Big Sister, bbbs.org/ALLCITY. That's how you can donate. I think you can click on the YouTube, and if Tyler puts up a graphic, or regardless, you know how to do it. Donate. We're going to get to our 10,000. Let's make a run at it right now. And let's get PHLY in the leaderboard so we can represent and show everybody. All right, everybody, have a great one. Tyler, what do you got coming up today with the Phillies?
That's a great question. I haven't quite gotten there just yet. So video on demand should drop about 1:00. I don't quite know what we're going to talk about just yet. Probably something to do with Ranger Suarez, I would presume.
Yeah, you'll cook something up. So video on demand, PHLY Phillies. Anthony is live right now. We are back tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. We'll talk to you then. Remember, if you're watching at a different time other than live, as many people do, comment, subscribe, all those good things. Comment. Tell us what you're thinking about the show. We're back tomorrow live at 8 a.m. We'll talk to you then. See you.
We all silly like the mayor.